Hola Madridistas, welcome to the preview for match day 3 in La Liga. It's been a shaky start to the campaign so far as the players adjust to the system or the lack of system, but we have had injuries and suspensions, but now we have to go away to the Canary Islands to face Las Palmas on Thursday. To break that down and more, I'm joined today by Mo and Farooq, the bread and butter of the channel. Uh, but before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor, Manscaped, the pioneers in male grooming. So if you're in need of a quality shampoo or you want to gift yourself maybe a premium trimmer to take care of business downstairs, Manscaped has you covered. And it's a great way to support the channel as well. So use code LBR20 for 20% off and free shipping. I'll come to you, Mo. You seem more happier. Is that the Endrick goal still keeping you happy and sane?
No, and it was meeting you guys that actually made me happy. But now that you mention it, like Enric goal also, it was kind of a welcome surprise from the way the game was going. It's kind of bland, should I say, or was it like kind of excruciating to sit and watch that? But the thing is, like, you're a Madrid fan, so you kind of stick around and see how it's going. But overall, yeah, man, I'm incredibly happy for the Enric goal and incredibly happy to meet you guys again.
Oh, wow. Farooq, did your heart melt listening to that?
Yeah, man.
Farouk's heart is made of stone, man.
Come on.
I already ignored Farouk. Yeah, for me, Farouk doesn't exist. That's you, Jacob.
Okay, I was going to say I was about to start crying, but then I take everything back.
Alrighty. I guess me and Farooq, we spoke a lot on the post match. We weren't too happy about the first half, obviously, but we clawed it back up. We're hopeful as always as Real Madrid fans, saying that Mbappe will find his groove. This team is gonna find its shape and formation. So more like we weren't there on the post match. Were you able to make sense of what actually went down in that first half? Why all of us were so unhappy?
Absolutely not, man. It's like, yeah, I think you need a rocket scientist, Farouk, to figure all of that stuff out. But for me personally, I think there were the same issues from the first game. Ball progression was incredibly slow. Nobody was getting the ball out from the defense and getting it into offense. And that I could excuse the fact that Valladolid were kind of defending deep, so we couldn't get much traction in the attack. But getting the way we were progressing the ball, the way we were moving the ball is like inexcusable. And I totally did not understand how they were using Arda when he was playing. So for me, incredibly disappointed with the first half, incredibly disappointed even with the second half, despite the scoreline. I mean, yeah, definitely we got some goals, but the game opened up after the first goal went in. And if that hadn't gotten in, I don't think we could have seen like a 3-0 victory. So for me personally, I'm not happy with the display.
Farooq, so yeah, I forget what we finally concluded. Was it like the players not following instructions, or like just the instructions and the coaching from Ancelotti and co were like complete bonkers?
Yeah, it was more of the fact that the instructions didn't make too much sense, and also like the players needed a bit more familiarity with what is or what isn't. And yeah, generally, and it was just awkward, positioning from a lot of players, which obviously goes back to the fact that someone said they should do that, so it's a tactic. So they followed it, but it just didn't make sense.
Alrighty. Yeah, man, I'll love to discuss a bit more in depth and then what you thought about the formation, the inclusion of Arda Güler and whatnot. But let's first get into Las Palmas for a bit. So yeah, they drew to Sevilla in the first game, lost to Leganes in the next one. They have some exciting players this time around. I don't know if you noticed, but Jasper Cillessen is back in La Liga after his stint at the Netherlands. If you remember, he was a former Barca player as well. He was an interesting keeper. He had always had that mistake in him, but he also had these incredible reflexes. That was my memory of him. Sandro, the veteran, is there. Marvin Park, obviously, he's still playing for them for some reason. I'm not really a huge fan of him. They got in Ollie McBurney as well from Sheffield on a free transfer. So yeah, excited to see him in La Liga as well.
Man, Jacob, you went through a lot of players, but you kind of left out the main guy at Las Palmas.
Who's that?
Kylian Rodriguez. He's the main guy at Las Palmas. I mean, he's like the beating heart of the team.
Yeah.
For me, the interesting thing about Las Palmas this season is the fact that they kind of lost Garcia Pimenta to the aforementioned Sevilla. So losing him and how they build on from that is kind of interesting to see. Last season, I think they had they seem to be having a good season, but then when I look back at the table, they were 16th. So I don't know what happened. About Marvin Parker, I definitely think that he's an interesting talent, one to keep an eye on, especially if he plays at right back position. I think against Leganes, he was playing further forward. He wasn't playing in the back line. But in the first game against Sevilla, he was definitely playing in the back line. So I think this guy is going to be an interesting one to follow. Potentially coming back to Real Madrid as a backup is like it could happen in the future.
Really,
So
man?
for
Like
Real Madrid,
I just saw him his game against Sevilla, and then he's like, who was it? Pedraza just absolutely had the beating on him. He's like so weak on the tackle, so weak.
I think
His
I'm not
crossing
saying
is
that he's
good.
going to. I'm not saying he's going to happen next season or something like that, but what I'm saying is like he's could be a potential option to recall. Given that going forward, Lucas Vasquez is not like timeless as much as we would want him to be. So at some point in time, somebody's going to come back, and I think Marvin Park might be a candidate. I'm not saying it's going to happen. He's just a candidate
Right.
as things stand right now. Yeah, so I think it's
So
definitely
this
going to
is
be
in
interesting to
case
see.
Trent TAA 2025 doesn't happen.
I mean, a trend might happen, but if he comes, he's going to be a starter. He's not going to be a backup, right? So he might need somebody to back him up. So I think in that case, Marvin might be an option for Real Madrid to look at. But apart from that, I think you mentioned Silesen. That's an interesting shot. I totally forgot about the fact that he had come back to La Liga, because I think the starting keeper is Alex Valles. And for me personally, I kind of rate him a lot, Alex Valles. So he's good at it with his feet. He is pretty tall. If you guys remember, Vidi tried to chip him last season, and he kind of jumped and caught the ball.
Right.
So so this guy is like interesting, and he's also a former Real Madrid player. Like he came to the Fabrica. So I think he's going to be another interesting player for Real Madrid. At least the way I look at it, I've always been hopeful that maybe in the future Real Madrid could get him back as a backup or something, because it's entirely possible that Lunin will leave after the next season. So we might need a backup. There might be options to get Kepa or somebody, but this guy could also be an interesting option.
Yeah. So Farooq, do you think if Lunin leaves, like Kepa can actually come back? Would Real Madrid or Fiorentino repeat that experiment?
Yeah, man. I don't think so, man. I think Kepa.
Farooq, before you go on, can I just say something? If Lunin had left this season, Kepa would like odds on to come back. Yeah. So I just wanted to get that information out there.
Yeah, that's for sure, man. But I feel like we have we can, if we have time, we can scout better players instead of just going with Kepa. Yeah, man. Farooq, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like Kepa, because even you could see with the last game of the season at the parent goal last year, last season rather, sorry. He was brought on to get the ovation, to get the love from the fans, that how highly regarded he is among the coaching staff, and also the fans also appreciate his work. But I kind of feel like with Lunin's performance and the heroics, he was just and I think he's also in line to maybe extend the contract and all that there. So I think Lunin is just there to stay, and because of that, he's gonna see. But as Mo said, I think also if Lunin had left for greener pastures, I think Kucha would have continued. But then, Kepa would have continued. But again, I get what you're saying, Mo. Jacob, in the sense that you want to find you want to scout a better and younger player for an eventual long-term succession of Thibaut Courtois. But then that's the thing, a lot of these goalkeepers also would look at the fact that for how long has Lunin be there? Lunin was touted as the next big thing, and then it's never just happened for him. So maybe taking a different route of going to a lesser team, establishing yourself, and then giving that big move would be ideal. So finding a keeper of Kepa's quality as well might be difficult on the market due to that reason.
I also think that there are two interesting keepers in the academy. Like one of those guys, his name I've forgotten, so I'm pretty sorry about that. But there's this Ukrainian guy, if I remember, he's been training with the first team recently, and there's obviously Fran Gonzalez starting for Castilla this season. So I think those two players are the ones that Real Madrid could potentially look at in the future. But if we all expect Lunin to leave at the end of next season. So
man, I just find it funny that you're still even bringing up these Castilla guys, man. Like, are they ever gonna play?
I mean, Real Madrid have a history of getting second backup keepers to be Castilla players. So, and going forward, given the lack of numbers we have for homegrown players, especially for UEFA competitions, I think some of these people might need to be brought back.
Yeah, that's true. So Sunil is in chat. He says Rayo is already 1-0 up against Barca already.
Tell Sunair not to jinx us, please. Don't jinx Barcelona. He always gets super excited, and then Barcelona wins, and then he gets angry and starts shouting in there.
It's always
What's
the same
up?
story. Okay. So I guess let's come back to Las Palmas. Man, from the last couple of games that I saw, I mean, obviously against Leganes and Sevilla, it was a very open game. They looked decent going forward, put some decent crosses in, but they were horrendous defending. Do you feel like they're going to continue the trend and go and attack more, or just follow the trend that other guys are doing and just sit back, hope for the best?
For me personally, I kind of think the blueprint for playing against Real Madrid has been set, right? Everybody has realized that this is a team of runners. If you give them space, they're going to exploit it. If you don't give them space, they kind of feel like toothless. So I wouldn't be surprised if Las Palmas went with the same lineup that it did against Leganes, because I think they had like four defenders plus Marvin Park. So I think that could be the blueprint for them to go in again. I think they have this guy Scott McKenna. I don't know much about him, but I kind of think like he's come from the Premier League, probably. I'm not sure. And then they have the other defenders, the Barcelona guy and Alex Suarez and all of those people. So I think that's potentially what I think they could go with. Set up a back line, set up a deep block, kind of frustrate Madrid and try and hit them on the counter.
Yeah. Farooq, are you actually looking forward to one more game or like a series of games where we somehow figure out how to defeat this low block, or do you want to see some open games?
No, I mean, like, I think for La Liga, this is what everyone is just going to do, because like everyone has morally pointed, like this is a team that's full of runners, so why would you give them the speed to exploit? Like it's just going to be a game that, I think until the Champions League starts, so I'm not expecting to see too much of open games unless you're playing, the big teams in Spain. So until we
we're
reach
gonna face
that point,
Betis Osasuna right after this. You think even a team like Betis would resort to just sitting back against us?
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure. I think we play Real Betis firstly at home. So I think if it was at the Via Marin, maybe it's a different, a different proposition. But I think when you play them at home, I think it's just going to be them sitting back a bit, and then we go in on the offensive. Well, yeah, until, I mean, okay, if it was going away, when you play Betis away, Bilbao and all those guys, yeah, of course, like you're going to expect the open game and, you can see stuff. But I think, yeah, as well, like, teams like, if we was playing Girona, even if we play Girona at home as well, it doesn't really matter, but, all those guys. But I think we have to see that in between there somewhere. So I would, be expecting to see, quite an interesting game, at Danuet as well, quite a game like that. But until, those games, because I think the main big game we have, the first one is going to be against Atletico Madrid, I think at the end of August, September, I think. So again, that's as well going to be a KG affair. So like, if you're asking if I'm tired of seeing those games, and I'm literally just, belts buckled in and waiting for more of those to come. For more, what I would just want to see is, improvement on the side of our players on how to find, those incisive passes, how to create those spaces out of nothing. So, yeah, that's what I'm expecting to see.
I'm just going to add the fact that, okay, maybe we are looking forward to more expansive games once we start playing the big teams. But I would say, like, how is Real Madrid going to deal with the press that, the big teams are going to bring? Because for us, getting the ball out of the back is like next to impossible. I think a lot of people are kind of focusing on the attack, talking about how Rodrigo should not be there, or whatever other stuff that people have. But the thing is, like, Real Madrid cannot get the ball out of the back. Once the press comes, I think if you've like, I'm sure you guys have already noticed it, but once the ball is in the feet of the center backs, there's nobody who's making these movements to get into positions to receive them. So when that doesn't happen, when you're facing teams like Barcelona and maybe even Atleti, with the press that they have, with the intensity that they work with, I think for Real Madrid, they don't even need to set up a low block. They can just press high, take the ball off our guys, and score. So for me, even in the big games, I'm not expecting Real Madrid to be expansive unless they figure out how to get the ball out of the back.
Are we gonna go full tilt like a Mourinho team and then just sit back and go on the counter?
I mean, to counter, you need at least be able to transition the ball. Real Madrid is not able to do that right now. It's like once the ball gets stuck in the back line, it's very difficult to get it out. Unless and until maybe Militao takes the ball and moves across field pass, into Vinicius, or maybe even Kylian going out on the left wing. For me, like, I don't know, because like the goals that we scored against against Valladolid, most of them, they were like the back line kind of hoofing the ball up, and maybe somebody taking the ball up like Brahim for Hendricks goal. But they completely bypass the midfield for those goals. So for me, I think Real Madrid definitely need to figure this out.
Yeah, something to watch
But I
out
think
for
that's
this game.
that's an area to exploit too, because we saw this, like Rudiger had the long pass which was into Kylian Mbappe for the first chance of the half as well, and then we also highlighted Militao. I think like if this is something that's working, then this is something that you exploit. Like I mean, you don't necessarily have to play through the midfield.
But Farouk, there's a reason why these guys are center backs, right? They can put the ball in maybe once, twice, but
Man,
they cannot do it
Rudiger,
with
I
regularity.
feel like these guys have been doing it like really well. I feel like Militao had
I-
two balls
what
for Vinny as well.
What I'm saying is like they're not going to be able to do it regularly, with the same accuracy like a midfielder could.
Yeah,
So
that
once you
comes
have trouble getting the ball out, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. There is reason they are centre backs, but I just feel like, for example, the game against Valladolid, like it was an avenue that we could have exploited more that we didn't. This because, like, for example, like during the glory days of Klopp's Liverpool, one trademark they had was either Alisson to Salah or Van Dijk to Mane. You understand? This was something that was a trademark for them that they exploited.
Yeah, definitely.
Almost 5
Farouk,
times in a single game.
that is a trademark, but the thing is like that's the Premier League where everybody's running. This is La Liga, not everybody's running over here. And the teams that have the capability to run, they have incredible defenders who can actually mark these balls out.
The point I'm just trying to make here is that at least there should be an attempt. Like there literally isn't an attempt. I feel like they should be.
Oh no, I definitely agree with you.
Exploit that more. Okay, if it works, it works. Of course, it's not gonna work every time, but like I mean, when it works, then it's it's gonna be great. Well, yeah, I think playing through the. I honestly, I just don't see enough creativity in the middle of the park, even with Jude or without Jude. That I don't think what you're talking about with the transition and all that. I mean, that's what Toni Kroos did best. So I think it's gonna be difficult to replicate that, but maybe bypassing the midfield as a whole is something.
I agree with it, like most of what you said. Like, I mean, the thing is, like, you have to kind of use whatever is working for you. So definitely, remember, we should be trying that. Trying to get center backs to play into space. For me, the thing is, like La Liga, you don't really get that much space. So that's thing one. Second thing, you rightly pointed out that Toni Kroos is missing. So to replicate what he did is like next to impossible. So I'm not expecting Real Madrid to replicate what they did with Toni Kroos, and I kind of said it like even in the podcast that we did before the season started in the preview, and I said Real Madrid are gonna struggle because they don't have Toni Kroos, so they have to adapt and figure out how to play another game. And I remember distinctly you asking me, do you think Toni Kroos' loss is Toni Kroos retiring is a bigger loss than Kylian Mbappe coming? That the benefit that it brings. And I said losing Toni Kroos is going to be a very big loss, and Mbappe is not going to cover that. So for me, this isn't entirely unexpected. Like, I totally expected this to happen. For me, what I expected was like Tchouaméni to be better, and so far he hasn't been. So for me, Real Madrid, they definitely have to figure out how to get the ball out of the backline, because as long as they cannot figure that out against the big teams, people are talking about like how this lineup could be filled with pace. They could exploit space and everything. The thing is, like, once you get the ball, you at least have to transition to get them into those spaces. And this Real Madrid, like right now, on the evidence that these two games have presented, I don't really see that happening. So we could have all the riches in the attack, it still isn't going to happen until the midfield starts functioning. Right now, the midfield kind of seems like one-dimensional. So something has to change. Some tactics have to change. Some players have to change. Maybe for me, I liked it in the second half when Modric was on the pitch, and I think he was flanked by Tchouaméni and Valverde. For me, that thing was working. So maybe that could be a potential avenue to exploit. But then the thing is, like, it's Luka Modric. He's like, what, 39? Yep. How many 90-minute games is he going to play? So maybe Camavinga coming back changes something, because I kind of like his passing from the deep. But I mean, you kind of have to be hopeful, and let's see what happens.
Dani Ceballos.
I mean, at this point, I would prefer Dani Ceballos to play. At least this guy can pass.
Over Tchouaméni? Okay.
I mean, not over Tchouaméni, but over somebody. Something has to change.
Right. Okay. And Rivaj is here in the comment section. He's talking about the diamond and the current system. But before we take that, let's go into the ad break. And when we're back, we'll discuss Real Madrid tactics, the lineups and predictions and everything as well.
Hola Madridistas, let me remind you that we have a partnership with Manscaped, so if you want to help us support this project and channel of ours, please do so. Visit manscaped.com, use code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. That's code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. This season hasn't even started, and we're probably going to need what I'm about to talk about right now. Today, I'm here to introduce you the Sculpt buffer by Manscaped. It is a thick silicone scalp cleaner that is 100% antibacterial. It helps you take a shower, clean your head. It helps you exfoliate your dry skin cells on your scalp, your hair cells, and helps your hair stay healthy in many other ways, like stimulating blood flow to your hair follicles. It is a very cool little piece of equipment that you can add to your showering experience and really doesn't take any space in your shower or any other effort to use it. And at the end of the day, it's basically like a little mini spa treatment. You get to massage your head, and like I said, we're probably going to need this before this season even started, because our hair is going to be falling out. But yeah, if you want to help us out and support the channel, use our code LBR20 to get 20% off and free shipping. That's called LBR20 for 20% off and free shipping. Thank you for watching, and back to the video.
Thanks, Doris. Oh, yeah, we're back, Mo. We're back. Thanks, Doris, for
Okay.
that. But yeah, you're gonna say something interesting, or was it something personal for
No,
Farooq?
I was just gonna say, there's a lot to say to Farouk, but right now I'm gonna refrain from it. For me, it was like I saw this interesting news of Real getting a potential 500 million bid for Vinicius. I mean, I don't know how true that is because
I think that was El
you can never-
Confidential, right? Again.
No, I think it's like on Chiringuito.
Oh,
But
Chiringuito?
like
Okay.
the journalist was like, not somebody I know of.
I see.
So yeah, it was kind of funny, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens because the rumors are that potentially he could be gone next season, like he could leave next summer, but I don't know.
To
Is there-
Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
I
Who else
don't
can
know. I don't know.
Put in a 500 million bid, man.
Of course, that's the only place that sort of bid is coming from. There is no other place.
From what everybody keeps saying, Real Madrid one like with the release clause to be met.
1 billion?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. For me, I'm hoping that this is all rubbish and nothing to believe.
For 560 million, with all due respect, man, when he can find the nearest exit. Like that literally wipes about more than even half of the club's debt. So like, what's like, bro? That's crazy.
Damn.
That's crazy.
And I mean, if Vindes end up going for that kind of money, you could always get in, a certain player from Man City.
Man, at that point, I feel like teams will be like exploiting us as well. They know we have a 500 million
Of course,
war chest.
Dembele and Barcelona, that's just what's going to happen all over again. Like, bro, you have 560 million. Why should I?
I think there is a clause in Haaland's contract, so.
Yeah.
Wow, that will be quite interesting, though. Well, and then
I'm not saying it's like kind of specific for us or anything, but that is how Mino Raiola used to operate, and I'm expecting like his successor, she operates the same way. So there's gonna be a clause for him, like to get Haaland out if he wants to leave.
Right.
That would be crazy, man. Haaland, Mbappe combo, bro.
Haaland,
We've
Mbappe,
had to
and
pivot gang. We've had to pivot gang. Haaland, Mbappe, and Rodrigo. That's true, though. Let's put respect to the man's name.
Yeah, but you guys are saying Rodrigo's still gonna be there. I mean that's like a good question. Segue to this question from Riwaz, right? He says, I don't think the front three of Rodrigo, Vini, and Mbappe will work. Period. So I think we have to go back to the diamond.
For me personally, I don't know why people are so obsessed with this one. I mean, no disrespect to the person who's commented. It's like I don't really understand the obsession with this, because the thing is, like, everybody keeps saying this is not going to work, but the thing is, like, first of all, let's get the ball to them and let them see if that works or not. We're not able to get the ball to them in the first place,
I mean,
So
I feel like that's one of the reasons, right? People just want to get the ball to the final third, so they feel like adding another midfielder, someone is going to help the situation.
That is an interesting option, but the thing is, like, you have to look at the profile, right? Whoever you add has to play deeper. So even if the extra midfielder comes in, he's going to play maybe what if you play as a diamond, he's going to play as a 10. Is it going to change anything? For me personally, it does not. there has to be a change in slight change in tactics, how players are positioned and everything. I mean, there's a lot of fascination with how the formation is going to be and everything, but that doesn't really end up mattering. It's all about how players position themselves relative to each other. And for me, I think that is something that Ancelotti was like kind of famous for, especially last season. Everybody was saying this relativism that Ancelotti plays or whatever. On all the YouTube channels, I kind of saw this, and all the catchy the in the in media that write about articles and stuff about all these tactics and everything. They're all saying Ancelotti's relativism versus Pep's tiki taka, whatever, whatnot. So for me personally, like this season, Real Madrid have struggled with positioning of players, especially off ball. So that is the big thing. So until unless that works out, I don't really see. You can put in like 10 midfielders. It's still not going to change anything.
Farooq, like just throwing one more manager's name into the mix, Xabi Alonso. So with his Leverkusen team, I feel like the build-up, the highlight is that his defenders are being pushed up. His fullbacks, they sometimes drop deeper to support play. And do you feel like that's something we can implement with the players that we have?
Yeah, I kind of feel like the players we have, I would firstly point to the fact that, as we discussed many of times, offensive output is not the strongest suit of Ferland Mendy. You understand? So this might be one thing that you want to highlight, but then maybe because he plays with a back three, you want to invert Ferland Mendy to become, a centre back as also, the third centre back there, and then find a different offensive, full back to put into that position. But I think, the capability of the full backs is really, really, really important, to be able to play this. And let's not forget about it as well, like Danny Carvajal is no spring chicken either as well. I think he's 32, 33, something like this. So, you also have to consider that and to factor into that, like a lot is going to rely on that. So I just feel like if a coach like Xabi Alonso is to come, like I think like there has to be some kind of reshuffle. But I do think the midfield we have is something that, the midfield and the offense we have is something that honestly he's going to feast on. He's going to enjoy playing with those guys. But I just feel like, the creativity that he needs, that he gets a lot from his fullbacks, is something that's going to be lacking, because Grimaldo and Jeremy Frimpong are like, really, really, they put in the shift and they create a lot of chances as well. But then if TAA 2025 happens, that's one half of the coin. You just need to figure out the other half of the coin as well. But I do think, for the creativity and the way Xabi Alonso plays, there's still a lot, that needs to be done in that department.
Well, yeah, remains to be seen. But man, on the left
Farooq, Gianni Carvajal might not be a spring chicken, but he's a gluten-free chicken.
Yeah.
So yeah,
gluten-free or
that's very true indeed. And then the gluten freeness can also be very effective, as we've seen in the past couple of years.
Man, do you think if Mendy goes on a gluten-free diet, he can become a beast as well in attack?
I don't know. I mean, he should take tips from Carvajal. But for me, the thing that frustrates me a lot is the fact that I think Real Madrid have an option to bring back Miguel, and he's probably the best player for this team, the way I look at it. Maybe defensively he's not that good, but he brings in everything else. He can help you progress the ball. Even in attack, once you get there, he has good passing, he has a good vision, and he has everything that this Real Madrid team could benefit from. And Real Madrid, for some reason, are stuck on Alphonso Davies. So that is something that really frustrates me. But, what can you do?
Sorry, I couldn't hear. Which name do you say? Which player did you mention?
Miguel Gutierrez.
Oh, Miguel from Girona, right?
Yeah.
Man, what happened to him? Is he still at Girona this season?
Yeah, I think there were some rumors about him potentially going to Dortmund, but I don't know what's happened. Real Madrid seem to be happy that nobody's triggering their clause because they need to have an option for next season as well. Right. So that if the decision is pushed to next season, I think they'll like it.
Yeah. The other solution is in a diamond, we can just play Arda at the tip as long as Bellingham is not there. I feel like, do you feel like that is going to help us if those guys play a true number 10 role instead of whatever bullshit that we've been seeing in the last couple of games?
Farooq, do you want to take this one first?
No, go on, man. I mean, you already talked about that, so it's fair.
Okay, for me personally, I don't really see it making any difference because the way Arda was used, in the last game was kind of disappointing. But even then, when he was kind of moving around and positioning himself, for some reason, I kind of felt like the players were bypassing him. So I don't know how much that's going to help. And if you're playing a diamond and you have like Jude Bellingham, maybe potentially he could play there and bring in Modric. For me, the optimum solution is like, I think if you go with a three-man midfield, it's like you need to have somebody like Modric, somebody playing in that deeper role. So if Arda Güler was brought in by the club supposedly being sold as a potential Luka Modric replacement. So maybe just get him and play him in that role. Play him a little deeper, train him to get the ball out of back. Maybe Ancelotti and Co don't really have that level of confidence in him do that job right now. So for now, I think it's probably gonna be Jude who's doing that job. But maybe next game tomorrow, if you wanna go with the midfield, I would probably prefer somebody like Brahim, because I think once he came on, he kind of gave a lot more than Güler gave, and he seems to have a better understanding with the other players, and other players also seem to trust him a little bit more. So I'll probably go with him.
Oh wow, Farooq, do you feel the same? I feel like that's gonna be tricky, at least just starting on the first half when we probably won't have any control. We'll just look to counter at any opportunity that we get.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I personally feel like a name that's more mentioned, Brahim Diaz, is just the solution. Of course, like Brahim hasn't always been at the best when he starts games. He's always been more of an impact when he comes up into games later on. But I do feel like yeah, I just think Brahim Diaz is at this point in time seems like a better option for that. And also like I feel like, as I mentioned at the post game as well, I feel like Arda Güler was a bit overwhelmed with the situation. I don't know, maybe that's the right word to use, but like you just kind of feel like it wasn't working for him. And then when he started to work for him, Carlo Ancelotti decided to take him up. When eventually we scored and the game started to open up a bit, we could see Arda getting into positions and bringing up balls and stuff like that. But unfortunately, then he had to take him up there. But other than that, the other thing I can see is like playing with Luka Modric and Tchouaméni as a double pivot. I don't know how that will work, but maybe this is something that can be explored. To at least so far we haven't seen anything from Tchouaméni yet. So maybe that stuff that we're waiting for we can we can get from Luka Modric, and Tchouaméni just does what he does best. Which would be like to provide the shield for the defense in some way. So maybe that can be, but at the tip of the diamond for now, I just think Brahim should get a shot as well.
Farooq, what would you think about Modric being flanked by Valverde and Tchouaméni in the midfield, just these three?
Man, I think Modric in that role he's going to be flanked by two players. I know, and it's not just about the positions, but still, I think Modric might be overwhelmed, by the opposition. He might be targeted by them. That's just something because we have to also put in.
The reason why I mentioned is in the second half, this was the difference that seemed to be working for Real Madrid against Valladolid. Maybe it was also helped by the fact that the game immediately after the goal opened up a little bit, so that might be by clouding my judgment. But I think when Pirlo was a Juventus, I think that is what they used to use. Have Claudio Marchisio and was it Arturo Vidal or like somebody else? I don't remember. Yeah,
it was a midfield. It was a midfield of those guys actually. But the one I will just, sorry for interrupting, but I will point you that they actually had a 5-man defense. So that's important to not forget as well.
That could be a good that could be a good call. But for me, the way I look at it is like when you play against teams like these, they tend to cede possession to Real Madrid. So in those situations, maybe it could be helpful, especially to get the ball out. But then, yeah, you have a valid point. Yeah, Modric could be defensively exploited.
I don't know. I mean, if Modric can be exploited, then so can Arda, right? So can Brahim.
But I think the reason why for that, I think the point with Modric is I just think it's the age factor as well. Like Modric is 39, so again we use the word spring chicken. I don't know if it's gluten free chicken or not, but again this is just what it is, man. It's but again what Mo is talking about. It's not like playing as a 10. It's playing as a deeper role where he's being flanked with two 8s basically. I think that's what you're saying more, right?
Yeah.
He plays as the hold, and then you have 2 8s in Tchouaméni and Valverde flanking him. So I think in that case, that's a thing more. Modric playing as a 10 is, I think, definitely not a problem, but I just don't see Modric playing as a 10 as well. I prefer him to play as an 8 or as a 6, But I think playing as a 6 in the role of a double 6 maybe could be, something like that can be explored to see. Because I think if he plays as a double 6, you go into the 50th, 60th minutes, you take him off and you bring on Rodrigo, you go back to your 4-3-3. So it's just quick math, it's 1 for 1 equals 1. There is no headache there. But then we're not the coaches, man. So someone is being paid millions of dollars a year to to do this, but then we're here getting thousands of bucks every year to do shit, man. So yeah, we leave the work to the masters.
I don't know about that. I guess we're gonna go into the formations. You get to play coach, but I'm not gonna pay you. So, Farooq, yeah, man, let's go to the defense. I feel like Mendy is gonna walk back into the team. Even though Fran Garcia had a pretty decent game, maybe if we need a goal or something, he gets brought on in the second half. Otherwise, the team picks itself at the back line, right? Do you think that's going to be a surprise?
If you need a
Lucas
goal,
Vazquez-
you bring on Fran Garcia.
Yes.
Bro, what are you smoking, man?
Man, did you see the two crosses that he had last game?
Crosses to whom?
Yeah, that's fair. It is what it is, man. Like,
I mean,
Yeah, while Farouk is aside, hanging aside, inhaling, he's laughing. As I'll just say that I think Furlan Mendy kind of picks himself up into the back line. I think it will be something really, really strange for Fran Garcia to come and sub in for him. But ignoring that, I think there's no options in the center back position. So it's Militao, Rudiger. They have to play every game till at least David Lava comes back.
Yep. And I guess like we were having this heated debate in the midfield, I guess. So Mo, do you actually see Modric starting in this game for some reason?
I kind of have a feeling that he will. I think it's probably going to be Modric and Valverde and Tchouaméni. That's what I'm thinking. But
Okay.
but Jacob, you completely left out our gluten-free captain for some reason.
So
The
is
right
it-
back position.
Man, I feel like it's a given that he's gonna play. It might be tricky, especially since the team hasn't figured out their groove. We might still be seeing Carvajal even though he needs rest. What do you think, Farooq?
yeah, I do think playing Lucas Vazquez might be the right time. You're traveling away, you're trying to give Dan Carvajal some rest. Let's not forget as well. He came back late and because of the forays of the European Championship and whatnot. So I do think it's he's primed for a rest. And yeah, I think Lucas Vazquez should be able to handle whatever you face against Las Palmas.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I guess we go to the midfield, man. Like, if Modric is gonna play, then who gets dropped? Arda or someone gets dropped. Do you feel like Tchouaméni, Farooq, you were saying Tchouaméni actually deserves a rest or to be replaced by someone like Ceballos? Do you see that happening this game?
I didn't say he deserves a rest. I said he deserves a kick off the backside, man.
Kick
The
on
rest
the
of it-
That's what I was wondering. Who deserves a rest for what? We're playing that.
Why should he get rested? Well, yeah, I mean, we know who Carlo is, and as they say, like Leopard doesn't change skin, so we know Carlo's gonna start Tchouaméni again. So we know Carlo's gonna start Fede again. The question is like, is he gonna take out Arda? I think 100% yes. I think he's gonna take out Arda. He's gonna start somewhere else in that position because I just don't see anything else in that. I don't see any other form of change there. And I do think it's most likely would be for Luka Modric in this game because I would be surprised to see Brahim Diaz, but I would really want to see Diaz being given a shot at that position himself. But I do think it's going to be for Luka Modric. And yeah. So, but rather than as Mo was saying earlier, I do think it's still going to be Tchouaméni being flanked by Luka Modric and Fede Valverde.
Yeah, I guess all three of us are saying that. Then I guess the front three as well, they pick themselves. Vinny, Mbappe, Rodrigo. Rodrigo's not getting dropped anytime soon, yeah?
I wouldn't drop him. For me personally, I kind of want these three to figure the groove out. So, but the thing that I would tinker with is like, but personally for me, I kind of want to see Mbappe playing on the right and Rodrigo playing centrally, because Rodrigo seems to like playing centrally, and Mbappe can at least do something when he's playing on the wings. Right now he seems to be too limited. It seems like that we have this big axe that we can use to chop a lot of stuff, but what we're doing, like just trying to chop it with the other end and seeing if it works.
The blunt
For
end,
me
yeah.
personally. Yeah, from the blunt end. So it's not. I kind of feel like Kylian is getting a little bit. He's not being used properly, the way he should be. He's being kind of used at the tip when he kind of likes playing a little bit deeper and coming in later and scoring the goal. So for me, that is something I want to see. So maybe you shift him out on the right and have Winnie and Kylian like maybe interchange a little. But I also do think that this team kind of tries to do a little too much in attack. All of them constantly trying to shift maybe like every 10 minutes, and that doesn't seem to give them the continuity. So maybe a little bit more consistency, a little bit more, staying in the same lane and trying to figure things out. Maybe that could help. But given how we have started, I kind of fully expect Kylian Mbappe to be playing as center forward.
Yeah, man. Farouk, and what would you expect like Kylian to actually improve, man? He obviously has to occupy the box, but do you see his link-up play or anything improving? Do you feel like he has to drop deeper? What's gonna need to happen to like get goals out of him?
That's a very good question, man. I think there are some times where Kylian makes a run that the balls also come, and until the ball comes to him, like literally there's nothing he can do. I do understand, like in the game, like I think he had two good chances. One of them was the half, was the volley from the Rudiger pass, and I think the other one was in the second half as well. So I do think, okay, yeah, he needs to do better with those chances, but it just goes back to what Mo said at the beginning of it all. Like the players aren't even getting the ball, so like you can't. I mean, it's not like Kylian Mbappe has been given chances and he's not, taking them. So he hasn't even been put in those positions yet. So I really cannot say, okay, this is what he needs to improve. If there's anything, okay, maybe like he needs to drop deep and try to play that Benzema role. But the point is, Kylian Mbappe is not that person. He is the person who combines with that Benzema. You understand? So this is just the thing. It's going to be really interesting to see how these guys figure this out. And this is why, I do think a lot of people, myself included, think that the way forward is not with three strikers, but rather with two attackers. Because the point is, Kylian Mbappe is not a center forward. Whoever is preaching that, they're preaching something else. That's just the thing. If Kylian Mbappe is a center forward, then Vinicius Junior as well is a center forward. But we all know that's just not the case, you understand? So for me, I just feel like to get the best out of this guy, we have to play them in spaces that they enjoy the most. So if the issue that's occurring is now that, okay, Vinicius is occupying a space, Rodrigo is occupying a space, Mbappe is occupying a space, Bellingham is occupying a space, then how does someone eventually find space when your teammates are already crowding out that space, you understand? So I think the best thing is to reduce the number of people that operate in that spaces. More rightly pointed about the fact that, okay, maybe playing Rodrigo through the center and trying to, make him that player who facilitates, and bring others into play. Maybe this is something that will be, exploited as well to see how it can be. That's why I just feel like if you play two attackers, you have the ability, to interchange, to switch. Because even what's it called? Ancelotti was saying that himself last year. Like against Man City, he played with two left wingers. But the point was that he played with two left wingers who were like interchanging constantly. They weren't staying in the same place. But now we have three players who like to drift towards the same position. So I think that's something. So if there's anything that Kylian Mbappe needs to improve, I think maybe it's just the link-up play. But again, this is not the best thing that he does as well. So I think it's going to be unfair, to buy a Lamborghini and tell him to come and drive like a Volkswagen, man. I mean, come on, that's unfair.
Well put, man. But another Lamborghini that we have in the team is Vinny, right? Mo, I find that at least in the last couple of games, his role has been like really restricted to the left flank. He is in like making those runs, getting into scoring positions. Do you think that's for the better or for the worse?
I think the issue mainly is what Farouk said, is the fact that these guys need to figure out how to position themselves in respect to each other. So once that thing gets sorted out, I think all of them will improve. For now, yeah, it's kind of been disappointing how the season has started for him. But when you see Vinny kind of, being himself, he kind of tries to do certain things, then you realize, okay, man, this guy is really dangerous. This guy is really exciting. And you kind of know why Vinicius was like potentially about to be the best player in the world. Like, he could get the Ballon d'Or. But for me, I think it's a question of how these guys figure out where to position themselves with respect to each other. Once they kind of have that understanding, once they kind of get used to each other, I think this will work. But for now, it's going to take a little time.
There you go, folks. Just have a little patience and, the goals will start flowing. Do you guys have anything else to discuss, or like we'll go into predictions? No takers? Going once, twice? Okay.
Nah, all good, man. Unless if there's a news from our inside mind more, if he knows if Real Madrid are signing someone,
Yeah, they're signing a brilliant talent for the coaching staff. His name is Farouk.
No problem,
guys.
man. I will play for them even for free, man. There is no problem. They just need to meet my agent.
No, bro, they're not signing you to play you. They're signing you to be the coach. To teach an old dog some new tricks.
That will be quite interesting, man. You guys will be, you guys will bite your nails till you finish biting your fingers, man. You'll be super excited. adrenaline will be, your new best friend. You become addicts.
Oh, wow. Farooq, you're promising like exciting football?
Oh, bro, exciting nail-biting football, man, back to back.
Farooq is the guy who promises you the world but then delivers you nothing. So
Bro,
I
point
would be
is-
surprised if Real Madrid get relegated with him at the
as the saying goes, my friend, you aim for the moon and you land between the stars, man. You
Wow.
promise the world, and then at least you give them, you give them Spain, you give them Europe. That's something, man.
Indeed, guys. Okay.
You're not
Well,
gonna be world champions, but you're gonna be champions of Europe and champions of Spain, and that's not doing bad, man.
yeah, not bad. Not bad. Let's go for the predictions, guys. It's been a long part for me. Farooq, you want to go first?
Yeah, definitely, man. I will just go with a similar scoreline that we had last at the last match day as well. I'll go with a 3-0 victory for Real Madrid.
3-0. Wow. Yeah, I thought it actually came true, right? Yeah. How about you, Mo?
I am kind of thinking that because Madrid is going to play Real Madrid, are going to be a little bit better in the midfield. So I'm kind of going for like a 2-1.
2-1. 2-1 is a very optimistic scoreline for you. Okay.
No, it's like I think it's going to be a 2-1. But I didn't say who was going to win. So I'll hold
Oh.
that back.
Okay. I'm gonna go with another 2-0. I feel like the defense, for now at least, they have things sorted. Unless, of course, they get a few corners and Marvin Park decides to turn into whoever, Jesse Rodriguez in his peak. I don't know. Let's see. Huh.
I mean, Hesse was from Gran Canaria, so who knows? He might come and play.
I don't know. Is he actually like doing something in football, or is he like just vanished
have
off the
no
face
idea.
of the earth? Okay. Yeah.
I have no idea. He kind of went to South America, and I know his contract like over there ended, and I don't know what he's doing since then. But,
Right.
yeah.
Actually, like his one of his posts or something popped up onto the Real Madrid subreddit for some reason today.
Hesse, the Big Flow music.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a reggaeton band. I don't know. I think he still does some reggaeton. I think he's called JM or something. That's his.
JM. Okay.
Yeah. I don't exactly remember, but yeah, when the first time I think these guys debuted, Big Flow, I kind of remember listening to one of their music, and yeah, he should have stuck with football. That's all I can say.
Oh, so we're not gonna attach the link to his music on the post match, yeah?
No.
Okay. All right, folks. There you go. Catch us on the post match. It's on Thursday, and then immediately after that, we're gonna have the preview for Betis as well. But yeah, big up our sponsor Manscaped, big up our partners Real Madrid committee as well on Instagram. So this is going to be an away game. We're not going to have the fan cams for this one, but yeah, stay tuned for the fan cams for the Betis game for sure. Yeah, and last but not the least, thanks for you audio listeners as well. Keep listening to us, and try to engage us. Tell us what you feel or like any feedback that can be improved from our previews and post matches. But yeah. Until next time, folks. Hala Madrid.
Hola Madrid.
Hala Madrid.